Hello everyone, we should be live now, so let's wait for our people from Discord to join. Let's give everybody a nice minute. We've had another interesting, one could say thrilling week in the markets behind us. For those of you who are not familiar, let me welcome my co-hosts. To my right-hand side is Ben Sparham from the UK.
Good evening, guys.
Underneath me, Bruno Perinelli from Argentina.
Hi there.
And to his right-hand side, we have Jake Torres from the Philippines.
Hi guys.
How are you doing, guys? How's your week been?
Pretty
Good, thank you, mate. How are you?
I'm doing very well myself, actually. Love that week in the market. Hi, Mustafa. Welcome to today's live stream. So we should slowly have everybody joined in. I'm glad the sound is fine. I'm glad to see everything is working. So let's get right into the things. Starting off with our European markets. Ben, could you please recap for me the most important events of the last week in Europe?
Yeah, so I think obviously the standout event is, of course, the ECB raising rates once more, 50 basis points. And they once again, sort of reconfirmed their stance, basically, that they are planning to another 50 basis points in March. So, the argument is there that basically, the Eurozone, Europe and the UK, etc., are a little bit behind the Fed. The Fed moved a little bit more swiftly. We're a little bit more aggressive, a little bit earlier, raised their rates to a slightly higher level, obviously a bit quicker. So, the argument can be made that the US is starting to get closer to a point of obviously stopping and peaking out with their rate raises. We're still obviously seeing that take place in Europe. So it's been quite interesting, obviously, to watch markets' reaction. Markets are obviously very forward-looking, right? So it's not so much about what is the interest rate they're setting today. It's more a case of how are they speaking, what language are they using for going forward. So as we then head into next week, something I'm going to be watching very, very closely is euro dollar, because of course we had the Fed as well going on this week. So I'm going to be watching that very, very closely, see how markets react. Basically, they didn't really react how we would expect, but it'd be interesting to see how next week shapes up.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Bruno, can we take a look at what's been happening overseas, so in the American countries?
Of course. Yeah, apart from the relatively strong labor indicators, as Ben mentioned, the Fed lifted 25 basic points, its main interest rate, and spoke about the decision that this inflation is happening that boosted the risk-on assets, and that plummeted the US dollar. But I think these last events led to what I call the last stages of a 3-month bearish cycle in the US dollar. I think the big bounce in the dollar is on its way. In fact, the last candle, that last daily candle, left a piercing line, which is a reversal candlestick pattern. So we have to take a look at it. We've already discussed this on the last live sessions on Monday and Thursday yesterday.
Thank you very much, Bruno. And Jake, what has been happening over in Asia?
Actually, this week it was a quiet in terms of data points during the Asian session. So what we have is of course, the unemployment rate from New Zealand, but we are not really expecting, that it was a market moving. And another thing that that is worth to keep in our radar is during the 31st of January was the release of Chinese manufacturing PMI, and it was a positive number across the board. So it was not a big deviation with the forecast, but all the metrics, the manufacturing and non-manufacturing from Chinese data was a positive. And this is worth to keep also on our radar because Chinese economy affects the Australian dollar. And of course, this is also in confluence based on the data, a positive data and the theme of the reopening of course of the cities of China, the pushing back from the zero COVID policy, and it is something positive for China and worth to be included in our analysis on the Australian dollar currency. And for the next week, we have interest rate decision for the AUD, and of course, based on the money market. So it is already expected that they will be hiking 25 basis point next week.
Are there any specific pairs that you're going to be watching over the last week? Any tips for the traders? What should they be paying their attention to?
Well, until now, since I am bullish with the Japanese yen, and I would like to pair it with the sage of JPY, so I'm still looking. We are still looking for a short selling opportunity for this pair. And of course, during our last market recap last week, so we highlighted the 140.50 zone, which is again, it still serves as a support. It is not yet cracked. So this level is worth to watch. This would probably be based on the price action point of view. Breaking this level and closing in the daily candle below this level will be a selling opportunity for this pair.
Thank you very much, Jake. Now, Ben, moving into the next week, what can we be looking forward to?
Yeah, so like I say, I mean, the real focus for me is going to be really on euro dollar. I don't trade a huge amount of cross currency pairs or anything like that, so I'm kind of quite strict with focusing on the majors, and euro dollar is really going to be that focus point. I kind of agree with Bruno. I think we are due to have a bounce in the dollar soon, and I think given how much equity markets have pushed higher off the back of the Fed meeting, etc., I think we could see a bit of a natural pullback there, and typically we see equities and the US dollar sort of negatively correlate, basically, so do the opposite in layman's terms. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a bit of a bounce in the dollar, maybe a little bit of a pullback then in euro dollar as well, especially with obviously the eurozone not looking quite as far down the road, you could say, as the US economy and stuff like that. So I'm really looking for euro dollar and the potential for a bit of a pullback there in that currency pair.
Thank you very much. Traders, if you're interested to know more about these topics, feel free to join Ben's live sessions throughout the week. Or if you want to get much more in depth, Ben is available for you to book one-on-one meetings, just as our other mentors. And last but not least, Bruno, do you have anything to add to what we can be looking forward to next week? Anything that has not been mentioned yet?
Well, in a couple of hours, say in a few hours, there's going to be released the non-farm payrolls that are definitely going to affect the forex pairs. And as Ben mentioned, the Fed Chair Jay Powell will hint the Fed's next moves on Tuesday. So that's the main high-impact event of next week.
Thank you very much. So traders, you know what to be looking for. If you want to learn more about our mentors, we do have the Discord channel available to you. You can join there. We've been posting tips, tricks, warnings about the markets each day. And if you really want to get in depth about the topics that we've talked about, all of our mentors are available for one-on-one sessions. Thank you guys very much for your time this week, for your input. It's been wonderful to have you here. And I wish all of you a wonderful, relaxed weekend and the next successful week.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers. Goodbye.